Good afternoon. I think I have the most difficult job to do now is to keep you awake, and I will try my best to see that you are awake and if possible to make this whole session very interesting and informative. What I'm going to do is basically I'm just going to talk about not just that what we are doing in TKM, and but I will also throw a little light on the future of automobile industry because I come from an auto industry background. I've spent about 35 years in this industry, and how does it look in the future, and how this TCM fits into that type the future regarding the strategic planning as you go along. I think it's going to be very complex as you go along as the industry is developing. So I'll just touch upon that. And then I will also talk about what we are doing as an organization, and then how do we make a connect with the TCM and what role or how this is disseminated to the team members down the line, and how we are able to control the cost in spite of so much of disruption as Mr. Kamal Bali talked about. So just to start with, I think, I don't know if a lot of you know what is TKM and what we do and things like that. So just a very quickly I will go take you to the outline of TKM. Of course, it's a joint venture between Toyota and Kirloskar. Toyota has about 89% stake, Kirloskar about 11%. We have about 6,400 people working, and we produce the Innova, Corolla, Fortuner, Etios, Leva and Camry models. Of course, some models are also imported, and our plant capacity about 310K, and the total area of land is about 432 acres. We have basically two plants, and we have some suppliers within our plant. We have a training center called Toyota Technical Training Center, and then we have a spare parts depot inside the plant. These are the various milestones. We started our production in 1999 with the launch of Qualis. Then it went to 2003, we did Corolla, then we launched the Innova in 2005, the Fortuner in 2007, and Etios in 2010, and so forth and so forth. I think the Camry, which is a hybrid, was first launched in 2012, and very recently in 2016, we launched the next generation of Innova and Fortuner. And we have about 192 3S facilities and about 250 odd dealerships all around the country. Our supplier base, we have about 119 suppliers, 39% is local and 28 is Japanese joint venture, and 19% is global and Toyota group companies. You know that any OEM who comes, they come with follow-up suppliers. So we have about 14% group companies. And 80% by volume, by 80% by price, we buy within the Bangalore or Bangalore-Chennai corridor region. We also have a human development center in TKM. We call it a Toyota Technical Training Institute. It's more a CSR. We get students from the weaker society and then train them and put them into our lines or our supplier lines. We have a Gurukul where we train our newly added team members, and also we do some Toyota technical education, basically on safety and other issues. We do a lot of CSR activity and things like that. I don't want to go in detail on all of this. So let me start the main content of my presentation. It basically consists of planning and strategy, as Mr. Raman talked about. I'll spend little time on planning and strategy, and then organization deployment and ensuring the implementation. So disruption, as Mr. Bali told in the morning, is going to be normal. It's a new normal now, and everybody have to accept our economic existence is open to disruption. And that doesn't mean it is the end of planning, or doesn't mean that we don't have planning skills or something like that. I think making planning disruption proof and integrating with the forecasting strategy and the risk management together, yeah, I think it's going to be the key. And all of the above has to be linked with the TCM. So what I want to say is, simply to put, TCM is the common sense check at each step to see if our plans and strategy meet the efficiency test, so that they are all tightly integrated. So this is our definition of TCM. So let me talk about planning and strategy connect with TCM now. Planning, according to us, planning is the process of moving from a lower to a higher level of existence over a period of time. So that process or plan has to have a strategy, I think. And strategy is required because plans are never static, and they work in a very dynamic environment. And so hence, when we say planning, we always mean strategic planning. So my focus today's talk will be on strategic planning, not on operational planning. So plans usually operate on a time zone, and as we know that any Japanese company, they always plan for a very long horizon. You know, the plans run about 7 years, 10 years, and we don't. Annual plans are not considered as plans. You know, those are the regular activities which go on. So a longer horizon plan will be about 5 to 7 years to 10 years, you may say. So you may ask the possible question, is it possible to plan so much ahead? The answer is yes, but you must know what you are planning. Such long strategic planning has more to do with anticipating and preparing for the change than just micro detailing. I think that is very, very important. The change management is very important. And plans get more and more vague as the time increases. So this is the biggest challenge point in the midterm planning, we think. Along on the horizon, the higher complexity and uncertainty. So let us now see how to create a midterm plan with TCM enabled plan and what it must look like. So I will use my auto experience as I speak today and try to see how to connect these two. So catch the cue. It means how do you see the future is the key to the midterm planning. Seeing trends which are not visible, taking a position on a visible trend, and the future strategy are key. In that sense, you must be able to see and smell the future. So let me just imagine that you are in an auto company and working in a strategic planning department. Let's go back a little and to say 2010, and then ask ourselves, today we are in 2016, and what was our planning at that point of time for 2016? And we would have forecasted that India is a small car market, small car will boom, and logically we should prepare and we should go cost of manufacture. Because as I told you, it was just raw material cost, labor cost, fixed cost and things like that. So how are we going to account this technology cost? The shop floor guys usually talk about the 3 M's, machine, material, man, but they never seriously talk about technology. So with this industry 4.1 coming in, the key will be, I think, the technology cost. As you automate, another issue is, as I said, you have to let go manpower. How will you use TCM to prove that in terms of resource efficiency? So how resource consumption footprint will be calculated through TCM. So this is also going to be one of the challenges as we go along. Supply chain, I think this is going to be another, it's also changing very dramatically. Suppliers are becoming smaller, sharper, they are getting specialized, and they are also getting closely linked to the manufacturers, and each one of them are trying to squeeze out their inefficiencies in the supply chain. Tomorrow, I don't know, the car showrooms may be replaced by an augmented reality and virtual reality showrooms, so there is no need of a very costly showroom and things like that. And maybe no longer the cars can be touched and felt through a virtual reality. Service outlets may come to your doorsteps, and sometimes, as it already started, the service outlets are now being shared between the many OEMs. So the TCM check, or what the supply chain cost as a percentage of your cost structure, competition and benchmark will be made not just on the raw material and the labor cost, but also on the supply chain cost. So how do you build in TCM KPIs on the impact and failure of the suppliers and dealerships of the operation? Such TCM concepts need to be built in. And also the product development, the whole concept of product development is also changing. It is becoming more virtual engineering, more IT embedded, IT support is required. A lot of engineering activities have been outsourced and things like that. So again, I think the TCM check will be designed to deployment time and the VA at the drawing stage and things like that has to be checked. Another thing we think is a human skill will, with this going to Industry 4.1 and things like that, the human skill will be entirely different. The skill up, different skill up has to happen. So the shop floor, the operational, and the mid management and the top management. So everything, the way they think will change. And I think from the TCM perspective is, apart from measuring the labor cost and productivity cost, we think the talent retention and the cost of attrition and will be very, very important, and benchmarking will need to be built in this case. So talent attrition and talent retention will be the key as we go along for the future, because we need very talented people to run our whole organization, because it will be more tech savvy as we go along, especially in the auto industry. So let me go to the part to evolve a strategy and make a plan. So now you have seen some of the ingredients like product technology, manufacturing, etc. So let us see how to plan and strategize with TCM. So as I said, planning is a journey from now to future. So let us imagine now that we have a very intelligent car today we are producing, and then we are going to a driverless car in the next 5 to 7 years. So what do we need to do in that case? So now you start looking at a strategy. I think we should start looking at a strategy piece by piece. Do you have a technology for the driverless car? By when do you need it? What is the milestone? What is your strategy for technology? Will you develop by yourself? You are a car company and you have designers, but you do not know how to handle the computer guys who will be designing the technology. Or will you outsource to a tech company, or will you wait for somebody to develop and then you improve upon the technology? So the TCM, I think, TCM check here would be the return of investment and the risk profiling of your strategy. Similarly, the product planning side, you have a strategy that you will concentrate 80% and 20% you will outsource. In that case, the TCM check will be for such strategy, what would be the gain analysis, risk sensitivity, the competitive mapping and things like that. You now have the tech and product plan. Now, how do you sell it? Are you going to sell it through an auto showroom? Will it be like selling a computer? You just sell the technology. What type of segmentation you want? What channel? All this will make a big impact to your plan. So you must have TCM check. You will check each and every strategy for the gain loss analysis. What will happen if you do this? What will happen if you do that? Similarly, you will plan your product life cycle using more, of course, the product life cycle, the TCM techniques will be activity-based costing and things like that. So in short term, even the strategy must pass through the TCM check, I think. You must know what is the efficiency or inefficiency before you begin. And the measurement must be in place to check the success and failure. Only then you can determine the outcome of such strategy. So I will just quickly run what organization deployment process what we are doing now, and and how we are cascading this in our organization as we go along. So basically, how do we convert these long-term plans and strategies into an annual, sharper, measurable milestone, and then how these processes are cascaded from the long-term vision to a specific and a measurable vision as we go along. So as you know, in Toyota's, we have this Hoshin Kanri system, and where the global vision and the divisional vision is cascaded, and they are all interrelated, and we cascade from the global vision towards a divisional or a company vision as we go along. And also, through this cascading and making the we make our own Hoshin. These Hoshin is communicated through each and every team member within the organization, and each team member has to make this Hoshin based on the mission, vision, and what targets we have. So this is a very short term, this is based on our 5 years or 10 years horizon roadmap. It is broken into each year, and this each year is cascaded down the line to the team members to make the targets and their own vision and mission. And then we have the PDA cycle, where we review these on a quarterly or a half-yearly basis, and then these Hoshins are reviewed within the division, within the companies, and then we take suitable countermeasures to see how it is incorporated over a period of time. So these are some of the deployments. I don't want to go in detail because of the time, but I want to tell one important thing is how do we implement. I think we as Indians usually are very poor in implementation, and we are not, do not implement in a very proper way. So in TKM, what we have done is, first we created awareness of cost to each and every team member within the organization, right from the worker who is working on the assembly line. What does it cost? What is the waste within the process? How to eliminate the waste? And such type of awareness is communicated during the daily meeting what we have within the supervisors and team members, and make an awareness within the team member, because I think in a manufacturing industry, I think the value addition which you do today in terms of suppliers as well as the OEMs is the team members who add a lot of value into producing the car. So it's very important for them to involve them in this whole TCM activity. What we did as an immediate action, as you can see here, we did 4 activities. One is PIC, OBEA means Profit Improvement Committee, where OBEA means visualization. So the whole cost is visualized in a room, and then we discuss element by element how the cost is moving every month. And as I said, it is not only the finance department which will decimate, or finance department will be the leader, but all other divisions will contribute towards making the cost map, and that will be discussed during this OBEA meeting, which we held once in every month, where we discuss each element like energy, manufacturing costs, sales, everything will be discussed. Then we have what is called as a BEP, that is a break-even point management, where we try to see how we can bring down this so that we become more profitable. Then we have the management committee meeting, which is held every week, where the profitability of the company is discussed on a weekly basis to see whether we are progressing on the right direction. And the fourth is the most important thing, is the product as a virtual company. Each product, for example, Innova, Fortuna, we created a company internally, and we made one guy as a CEO of this product. His job is to see that each product makes profit by its own. So and this is discussed during the PIC Obaya, and if it's not making profit, we have to discuss why it is not making profit, what are the elements which go. And then we see what countermeasure we have to do in terms of that product to make profit. It is not the overall company, okay, this product is making loss, this product is making profit, so it's okay, overall we make profit. It's not like that. So we have changed our model to product and model by model, the product by product virtual company. And in the midterm, we are trying to see whether we can create function as a profit center, like manufacturing function as a profit center. We give some budget to them, and they have to run this company within this budget, and we have to fix the return on investment, and we say that this is what you have to make, 5% profit, and they have to, and we will make somebody as a CEO and see whether they can do the job or not. So we are moving towards this type of management to see how we perform. I think even though, as you see, as you know that today we have overcapacity in automobile industry, and still we have been able to, we do about, our production level is about 60-65% of our capacity. This is what you do. But still we make, I think, a reasonably good profit. So, because of various activities we do and the sensitivity which we put through the system. We also focus on this profit square, as you see here, price on the y-axis and cost, price and cost on the y-axis and volume. And our job as a management is to see how you can increase this as far as possible. Better price, more volume, less cost. So with this to see, and also we use a lot of KPI management as we go along company-wide to focus on, which is I think which is a DNA of Toyota, to see how do we have the best return on investment and contribute to the stakeholders. Also, as I said, function as a company, and this will be established in May. It was established in May 2014. I think it is working pretty well. Only today, now we are done only for manufacturing. I think over a period of time we'll start doing for sales, purchasing. Purchasing, HR will be a service company which will provide all inputs to these two arms, manufacturing and sales, and to see how they operate. So in the end, what I would like to say is using these tools, I think TCM is very, very important, and how do you implement? What we are now thinking is going forward in future with all these new technologies coming through, how TCM will be looked at and how do we embed TCM in our planning process. And I think if we can do that, we can be profitable, but important is to sustain profitability is the key to our growth. Thank you very much.